Hello, it's me, the Moo, and today I want to talk about autism. I know, kind of a weird one to pull out there, but I guess I've just been seeing just throughout the years, those billboards of like, do they not make eye contact? And also just movies kind of get it pretty wrong or just very stereotypical. And then you also have like those TikTok people who, mostly women, mostly girls, uh, who really look like they're kind of faking it. And I mean, who knows if they actually are, but I mean, a little bit fakey sometimes, I gotta say. Um, as someone who has Asperger's and Tourette's, and that might be why sometimes I suddenly stop speaking because I have an eye twitch or whatever else happens. Um, I find that I don't know, it's not necessarily offensive, but it's just kind of like, why? But here I am to tell you how you can maybe do it better. I don't know, even if you're just trying to put on some internet personality, I don't know. There are ways to do it better. It's not just like, oh, have trouble with eye contact or mumble your words or have a special interest. That tends to be, or like the flappy things, just like you know. That's not really necessarily all of it. And if you really want to know some things, here they are. One, forgetting what you're saying in the middle of saying it. Like right there. I'll just kind of have, and I've noticed from other people who kind of talked about it as well, you'll just have this moment where it's almost like a glitch. It's a glitch in your brain where you're just like, huh? Like what you were about to say, but you can't vocalize it. Like every single word that would accurately try to describe what you're talking about just goes. It's gone. It makes you question if you're getting like early onset Alzheimer's or something. But no, because you remember it later. But like, say you're talking about a pool and you're trying to like talk about, hey, I need help with that thing over there, that water in a square, no rectangle. It's a bowl, and they'll just be like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the pool? Yes, the pool. That's what I'm talking about. That sort of stuff happens all the time for me. And I'm pretty sure it happens to other people too, where you can't vocalize the thing that you were just about to say. Like it's just gone. And you have to like look it up and be like, oh, I know what this is. Why am I looking it up? But you have to look it up and get the word back. Or you have to take extra few moments to try and somehow thesaurus your way back to the actual word. I don't know why that happens, but it does. I'm pretty sure that other people with autism like get it too. Or maybe it's just an Asperger's thing, because it's slightly different, but it's not that's an explanation for another time. Again, I'm going down that road of I don't have the words for it for some reason. Um, anyway, number 2, getting off track. Bunch of times. Uh, I'll be talking and talking, and then I'll just be like, where did I end up? And the other person will be like, I don't know how we ended up here either. But like, we were in a conversation for 5 minutes. I think we were talking about like getting some lunch, and then we delved into like advanced philosophy. How did that happen over a sandwich? Um, that happens like way too much. Way too much. If I'm not doing number 1, then I'm certainly doing number 2 if you give me enough time. That's why I try to like not speak too much, and I try to like just remember what I'm talking about. I try to give the other person more time for them to respond and talk and try to remain on topic. But oh my gosh, trying to remain on topic is a very conscious decision. Like it can make it hard to even say things in a timely manner, because all of a sudden, if you divert and you get too excited about what you're gonna say, then it gets diverted, and you're just like, okay, well, now I'm standing here and I've talked about what I was going to talk about, but I don't really have any substance left to continue this conversation. And now we're kind of going in overtime of where, they're just awkwardly standing there trying to have an out, but you keep talking, and you're also trying to have an out, but you don't know how to do that. So you're still talking about the thing that, you diverted to, or the multiple things that you diverted to, and you keep adding on things, trying to, I don't know, make a lesser thing to talk. Like you try to talk it down. Like you have the big thing, and then you have the lesser things, and then it kind of slowly devolves into like small talk until that person, I don't know, I guess tries to opportunistically take that conversation and be like, hey, I gotta go, bye. That's why for me, a lot of times conversations that get diverted will end up either they just try to find a moment that they can just walk out on, or I very awkwardly end the conversation. It could just be like I'm trying to walk away while still talking a bit about it, and just trying to show that body language of I'm going, but I can't let the conversation go, so because I don't know how to stop it. So I'm just trying to silently be like, hey, let me go, without actually saying, hey, I'm done with this conversation, I got other things to do, bye. I'm trying not to be rude, but that is kind of how that ends up, is just either they find an out, and it makes you feel awkward because it makes you feel like, oh, was I talking too long? Was I being boring? Or you get an out, and it's like, wow, I was really a jerk there. Or I was really awkward. So, yeah, number 2, quite frustrating, but it will definitely make someone believe a bit more like you have autism. Number 3, instead of talking altogether, you just use your body language. There's people who will probably talk a whole lot, probably talk your ear off, who have autism, but there's also going to be people, or even just the times when that person probably has their mask down a bit, they're getting tired, and they're just going to start body languaging a whole lot of their conversation to where it's almost like it's its own form of sign language. Um, because you kind of get what they're trying to say, but they haven't really said a whole lot. Um, like, suddenly that person just, like, maybe you're walking somewhere and that person just kind of has a long period where they're not saying anything, but they're taking you to some place and then they show you stuff and you're like, okay, well, I guess there's no conversation going on. But we're for some reason doing this. I don't know. Or they like make little weird sounds, which that might be a stereotype, but I don't believe that the weird sounds you typically would associate with I don't believe like all the kind of sounds that an autistic person might actually come up with. That would probably also be an indicator of like them vocalizing their feelings or trying to talk about something. Like for the longest time, for me, when something was interesting to me, I'd make this like weird hum noise, which went like it's just like, what is that about? But it's actually either one, I'm kind of excited for something, or two, I'm bored and I'm trying to put a little bit of entertainment into my life in some way possible without being too showy. A lot of, I think, autistic quirks, sound quirks, I don't think are like yoing, doing, going. I don't think it's that like really in your face kind of thing. It could just be more like a, who said that? Or like a huh? Where I'm trying to show your kind of reaction to that. It's a lot of times it's just something small, like a hum. A lot of times, like I'll hear someone go, it's just the hum thing. A lot of autistic people have the hum thing if they do sound stuff. I don't know why, and it's kind of unique. Everyone has their little unique, their little unique hum. And that was part of number 3, is like I was explaining something in a way that did not use words. Or like, hey, I'm pointing to my face, and in some ways, like this, which I guess in sign language that kind of is like, face. But like that's what we're doing a lot of times, like a lot of hand things, a lot of like body language, and we might not really see. The thing is, you might be like, oh, an autistic person doesn't have a whole lot of body language, they don't really know what they're doing. And I'm like, yeah, actually they do know what they're doing with their body language. Their brain is literally subconsciously, maybe even consciously, but mostly subconsciously, telling them to move in all sorts of ways, because they learned from a very young age that vocalization for them is not as good. A lot of ways, like they're trying to like keep you interested. They're animated, like they're trying to show their feelings. And the way that they do that is by having their hands all around. I mean, I could sit here and just be like this if I really wanted to. And this would actually be a conscious effort, because what my body wants to do is move my head around as I'm talking, move my shoulders, move my hands, move my legs, everything. When an autistic person is trying to communicate, oftentimes they're using their entire body to get you to understand them, to express themselves. It's kind of crazy that way. Number 4, being brilliant in writing, but oftentimes insufferably frustrated in speaking. Like I've made speeches before, and whenever I am on the paper, I've written it down and I'm focused on the paper, which makes me have to go like that, but I have to. Because if I look up from that paper for more than a second or two and I start trying to think of what I'm trying to say, and it hasn't been like rehearsed, like really rehearsed, where I know what the words are in my head and everything, like it just kind of fumbles. And I'll start going through like 1, 2, 3, in a lot of ways, especially 1. So the important thing there is this, just like, to not think that people with autism like aren't eloquent, aren't well spoken. I mean, some of them definitely are on the vocal part as well, but like in writing, I find that a lot of them like can write really well. I guess handwriting depends, but like their words and the way that they can express themselves is so much better through like text or through handwriting, that you'd think like, oh, I am talking to an author, or I am talking to someone who does not have autism. But it's like, yes, they do. You just don't realize it because you equate being like behind on things as something that has to do with autism. That's not necessarily the case every single time. And a little bit shame on you, but at the same time, like, I understand, because a lot of mental health type of stuff is viewed in a very linear way, when really it's like, well, because you have a problem with this, you actually have a strength over here. But a lot of people think if you have a problem with this, then it's just, downhill, like you're held back in every regard. But like, it's kind of the thought of, just because I have 3 fingers here and 5 fingers here, doesn't mean that like I haven't found ways to make the 3 fingers work really well for me. Or in just that sort of way of like, if someone's blind, they can hear really well usually, or they're just really trained with it, should I say. It's not necessarily talent. Doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, you're just naturally this way. It's like, no, actually someone's probably developed the skills necessary to be able to use that hearing as almost like a sight. And in that same way, like, yeah, it's a lot of times someone with autism actually can write very well, has words, has an amazing, library of vocabulary, and is distinguished. But it's just, again, it's hard for some reason, I guess, to get it up through the neck and through the vocal cords and out through the mouth, get all of that, brain. I don't know why, but I guess it's a lot of just something. I don't know. It's just a lot of something that keeps it from coming up here. You can call that a throat chakra. I don't know. I really don't know um, why it's hard to speak but can write amazingly. You definitely have the words, but it's frustrating because you just can't speak it. um, so yeah, like I find that it's just quite fun, and that's why also okay. See, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that point again, where I'm forgetting what I'm saying. I'm getting off topic. So it's quite nice to be able to use my illustrious uh, writing skills to like say things to other people and play around and give and receive information that way. And I very much prefer actually texting and writing over really speaking to people. Though sometimes I really do want to say something because there's just some things that you can't properly express through such means. Even so, a lot of times, most of the time, in a lot of basic conversations and whatnot, you really don't need that level of understanding, you know? So, yeah, number 4 is definitely interesting. And now I could go for 5, but I don't want this video to be too long. So I'm probably just going to end it there. I hope you enjoyed the Moo speaking on, the daily life and struggles, and maybe you can get better in your own movies and TV shows talking about it, or maybe you can just get better at faking it if that's really your deal. I guess you can make money that way. Shame on you, but I can't stop you. Anyway, see ya.